Confidential balances are coming back to Solana mainnet. So today I'm going to explain a little bit about what they are, what kind of privacy you can expect from them, and how they work using zero-knowledge proofs and encryption. So right here on my Explorer, I've got open a confidential transfer on DevNet. It's already enabled on DevNet if you want to go ahead and have a little look. And if I scroll down, I can see kind of regularly what I would expect a normal transfer to look like. I can see all the accounts that were involved. I can see who sent it and who received it. And if I scroll down to the instruction, which is normally where I would see how much is sent, there's nothing in here that's telling me the balance of what I actually sent. That stuff never on chain. The validator never sees it. So if I just compare that, for example, to like a regular USDC transfer, also on DevNet, and I scroll the whole way down, I can see that here we've got the amount of USDC that was transferred. You can also just explore this a little bit more. So like say I want to go into the receiver. So obviously this person received something. We can see that there was like a transfer. So if I go into this person's account and I head into their tokens, I can't see anything. This is completely private. We just sent a confidential transfer to this person and they have it sitting in their confidential balance. So what confidential balances are is basically a combination of three different things. You've got confidential transfers, which is just what we explained here. You can send something completely privately and without revealing the amount of the token you're actually sending. And we've got confidential mint and burn. So you can mint tokens to be confidential and you can burn them confidentially as well, and that avoids kind of having to like shield out of public and unshield back into public when you want to use them. So this makes confidential balances really powerful for just, I can interact with things on chain, I can interact with my friends, I can send transfers, and I never actually have to reveal how many tokens I have in my account. Confidential balances are enabled as an extension on token 22. So whenever you set up a new token mint, you have to say, hey, this token mint is going to have confidential balances enabled in it. And then everyone who has a token account associated with that mint is able to benefit from confidential balances and transfers and all the things involved in it. But you do have to set it up when you create the mint. So whenever you do that and you have a mint, you're giving everyone who wants to associate with that mint two different balances. You still have your public balance, and that's just like regular Solana stuff. You can interact with public DeFi and public things and keep the things that you want people to know you have in your public balance. And then you will have your confidential balance, which is where you want to keep your actual size and anything that you want to do privately or just like interacting with friends and stuff in there. These are the same token. So you just have like 50 USDC in public and then like 300 USDC confidentially hidden from you. And then whenever you want to go and send that confidential balance, you got to do two different things, basically. So you have to generate a zero-knowledge proof that just proves, like, without telling you how much I have in my account, I'm going to tell you I have enough to do this transfer. There's three proofs involved in doing this zero-knowledge proof, and we're going to get to that in a second. But after you do that, then you're going to encrypt that those funds to the person you're sending it to. So say I'm Alice, I'm going to encrypt it to Bob. I'm also going to encrypt it to me, so that I can actually read it as well. And then I'm going to go and send it to Bob, and Bob's going to be able to receive it. Pretty simple. Whenever you send something, when you encrypt it, you're going to want to encrypt it to yourself, obviously, because you have to be able to remove it from your balance and also just like see it in your wallet. You're also going to encrypt it to the receiver, so I'm going to encrypt it to Bob as well. And optionally, if the mint authority has set up in the mint that there's going to be an auditor, it will be encrypted to the auditor key as well. They don't have access, obviously, to actually do stuff, but they do have access to read the transfers that you've done. The cool part for me kind of comes in the receiver part. So the way receiving works is that you're going to have your funds arrive into a separate balance called a pending balance. And then you can apply that pending balance to your confidential balance and view it as a regular balance. Your pending balance is also encrypted, so people can't actually read that. But the reason that we kind of have it as a pending balance is that whenever you generate that zero-knowledge proof in order to send it, you are saying, hey, you're creating a proof based on how much you actually have directly in that account, the exact amount that you have in that account. So if you generate a proof and you submit that on chain and then somebody sends you some funds, that proof is not going to verify. So there's kind of like a, kind of an attack that could happen is that an attacker will send you funds when you try to do stuff and then you won't be able to ever send anything. So that's why we have pending balance, so that you are proving against your available balance People can keep sending into your pending balance. They're never able to send into your available balance. So this is the pending balance is going to be the one that changes. Available balance just stays the where it is, and you can generate proofs on that. And when you're ready, you can move your pending into your available. Just becomes a regular confidential balance that you can do transfers and stuff from. Now, something you might have noticed here is that this pending balance is encrypted, right? And so is this sending, where are we? So is the send. Like all of this is encrypted. So how is the chain able to actually add my sent encrypted balance to the encrypted pending balance? Like how do they know they can't add two encrypted balances together? But that is where you're wrong. So if you kind of look at like traditional privacy protocols, which might be what you're used to, like for example, Zcash, they have something called a UTXO model. Okay, which one's good? This one. So UTXOs, the way it sort of works is that you will, instead of having just all of your funds in your account, you will just have a bunch of notes that are associated with you. So say instead of having like 100 USDC in my account, I have 10 USDC, I have this note of 20 USDC, I have this note of 15 USDC, I have this one of 20, and those are all the ones that I own. And those are all the ones that I can decrypt. And whenever I want to send someone some USDC, what I have to do is I have to take my 15 USDC note, I have to split it into 10 USDC and 5 USDC, and then encrypt this 5 USDC and put it on chain, encrypted to whoever I'm sending it to. And then I have to nullify my existing 15 USDC note and say like, okay, that's gone. I can't spend that anymore. And then what Bob will have to do is he'll have to look at the chain and try to decrypt every single note on the chain to see if he can encrypt it, to see if he can decrypt it, and then that's when he knows that it belongs to him. So this kind of causes like two main issues with the UTXO model. It's the first one is that your wallet has to implement this thing that decrypts literally everything that comes on chain to see if you can. There's other ways of potentially doing that, but that's the main problem with it. And then you also just have this huge like state bloat where you have to keep track of every single nullifier. So every single note that's been spent, you got to keep track of that on chain somewhere so that when someone tries to spend it again, you can say, no, we've already spent this note, you can't spend it again. It was kind of a bit of an issue, and because Solana already works with the account model, we were like, okay, how can we build this in the account model? And so what we did instead is that whenever you try and add to the pending balance, where are we? I'm completely lost. To the pending balance, it just homomorphically adds to the pending balance. So we're literally doing homomorphic encryption and adding balances together that are encrypted. So the people who are adding them together never see the balance. Pretty sick. And it makes it a lot faster. So this full flow then is whenever I want to go and send it. We still just have two accounts. We don't have this UTXO model. Whenever I want to send, I encrypt my amount to myself, to my recipient, and potentially an auditor key depending on the mint. I then generate 3 0 proofs that we're going to get into, and I submit that on chain. This says it's multi-transaction sequence. It will be that way until we get large transaction sizes landing very soon, and then we can do everything in one transaction. The reason it's quite a large transaction is because 0 proofs are just pretty big. So then Solana is going to just verify the proofs and send the homomorphic update of the other pending balance, and then the recipient is going to have their funds arrive in their pending balance, and they can call, apply pending balance, and then get all of their balances in their confidential balance and do whatever they want with it. So each of these zero knowledge proofs that you're generating completely locally all do something pretty important, and we can see them here. So the range proof is kind of what we talked about, where you're proving like, yeah, I actually do have these funds in my account that I want to be able to send. And the reason you have to do this is because if you didn't have that zero knowledge proof and you just encrypted something to someone else, it would just go through because nobody can see how much is actually in your balance. Like you would just be encrypting a balance and it would literally just be sent. You'd be inventing funds out of nowhere. So you have to prove without telling them your balance that you have that amount in your account. So that's what the range proof is. The equality proof is basically just saying that, like, it's kind of more of an internal proof system thing. It's basically saying that what I am committing to here is actually going to be what ends up in their account. So you're just making sure that what you send is going to be what they receive. The validity proof is proving that you are telling the same thing to each of the three keys. Remember those three keys that we talked about earlier? We have the sender and the receiver and the auditor, and you're encrypting this transaction to all of them. This is just proving that you're actually not lying to the auditor and you're telling them that, yeah, this is what I'm sending. this is what's coming from me, this is what the receiver is going to receive, and this is what I'm telling the auditor, and it's the same amount in all of them. So you're doing all these proofs whenever you do a transaction. And then also when you create your account, you basically just have to prove that you actually own the Algomal key, the encryption key of the public key that you say that you own. You have to prove that you own the secret key. So that's what happens when you set the account up, which we're going to talk about in a second. So whenever you go to set up your account, I'm just going to get to the docs here. You can find these on solana.com/docs/tokens/extensions/confidential-transfer, and you'll see everything that I'm talking about here. But I went to create a token account, and you can see whenever you set up for a token account, you need to generate an Algomal key pair and also an AES key. These are different things for slightly different goals. You have to generate two different basically keys. Algomal key pair, the reason that we do this is because it has a public key. So that's going to be what people actually encrypt to on chain. And then you will have your Algomal secret key. This is what you prove whenever you set up your account to say, yes, I have this key. I want to decrypt the stuff that is sent to me. And then you also have your AES key. This is like a symmetric key. So you only have one of them. You don't have a pub key and a private key. And you just hold this to yourself. And this is what lets you decrypt balances. There's a bit of a difference between Algomal and AES. So because Algomal, we use twisted Algomal. That's what allows for the homomorphic encryption. It's slow. Like it's slower than what you would want in your own wallet. It's still pretty fast, but it's slow, especially for big balances. So let me see if I can just find this thing. Yeah. So basically, like whenever you have an Algomal balance, that's going to be what does the homomorphic encryption. But it's really, really, really difficult to do like a big computation to do. Like I have this huge number in my account and I want to add this huge number. It's a really difficult thing to do. So it cuts them up into two different things. And you basically have your pending balance low and pending balance high. And then it does these two different computations on that. And then it was able to do the homomorphic encryption that you see. But like if you had this key with yourself, it would just take longer for you to decrypt whenever you want to see your balance. So that's why you also have the AES key and you can just decrypt immediately. And it looks slightly different. Like it's not the same kind of number, but it is the same number as what's going to be kept in your pending balance. Whenever you set up your confidential balance account, you will derive these keys from a signature. That's not just going to be automatically there when you create a new Solana account. You will have to derive the keys from signing a signature. And if you're interested to learn a little bit more about that, we just are doing this new key derivation method. It's PR open for it now, which will probably be landed by the time you see this video. And basically we were using SHA-3 and now we're using HKDF SHA-512, which is what is used by like Signal and WebAuth and all of the big, most people use this for key derivation. So it's kind of easy to do in the browser. So you should be able to just sign a signature and get your keys from any sort of wallet, including a browser wallet. There is also an auditor key that is not going to be derived from your signature. That's going to be set up whenever the mint authority creates the mint. They will set optionally, it's not needed, but if they want to be a little bit compliant and they want to make sure everyone who's using their token is compliant, they can set up a key for mint authority, and then whoever has that key will be able to view all of the transactions. And whenever you create a confidential balance, you have confidential transfers and you also have confidential mint and confidential burn. And this solves the problem of like, okay, well, great, I have that confidential balance in my account now, but like most of my funds are in this public balance and I need to get it confidential. Am I just going to have to like transfer all of my public into confidential and everyone's going to see how much it is? No, because that we have confidential mint. So the mint authority can just directly mint something into this confidential balance or directly burn as well for to stop the other kind of thing. So if you want to like come out of confidential balance into public somewhere, you can just burn in confidential balance as well. So you can do everything in confidential and you never have to unshield back into public balance. If you explore token 22 extensions a little bit, you'll probably notice that there is something called the transfer fee. So I can find it here. Yeah. So basically, whenever someone creates a mint just using token 22, you can set that every transfer has some sort of transfer fee in it. If you thought ahead, maybe you understand that this won't really work for confidential transfers because the transfer fee is a percentage of a transfer and you don't know what the amount is. And you know, like homomorphic encryption for doing a percentage is incredibly difficult. We can only really do additive stuff with homomorphic encryption. So you can still set up a token 22 mint that has a transfer fee, but just the sender will actually just compute this locally and send this along with the transfer encrypted to someone else. So confidential balances are going to come back to mainnet. You might remember that we had them in here before. We had a bit of an issue with it. Where is my thing? Yeah, so I recommend if you know about zero knowledge proofs, so check out ZK Securities blog and learn a little bit more about the exploit. It wasn't actually exploited. Nobody was able to do anything on chain because these guys got it early enough. But basically it had to do with like in zero knowledge proofing, the prover has to like pick challenges to do. And I think that's all you need to know about confidential balances coming back to Solana mainnet in about a week. Maybe more or less than a week. I'm not sure when this video is going to be posted, but coming very, very soon and already on DevNet. If you're wondering why we disabled it in the first place, we have had confidential transfers technically in mainnet for a while, but it was disabled because there was an issue found with it. ZK Security guys found it. I highly recommend reading this. They wrote it in a really easy way to read if you don't understand zero knowledge proofs. But basically, whenever a prover needs to prove something, they have to do like a set of challenges. And that's involved in the proof, and you have to like hash all of those challenges in the proof. And there's something called a sigma or proof, which the prover gets to kind of pick which challenge they want to prove, and then hash the challenge that they have decided to pick into their proof. And the issue was that we didn't hash that challenge into the proof, so they could just do the challenge and then like decide what challenge it was later on, which basically meant, long story short, you could just arbitrarily mint and burn things and just create a bunch of confidential balances everywhere. So that was an issue, but that's been fixed and audited by tens of amazing zero knowledge security companies. And yeah, so zero knowledge confidential encrypted balances are coming back to Solana. I'm super, super excited about it. If you want to learn more, I highly recommend checking out our docs. Just go to solana.com/docs and you'll be able to read all about token 22 and confidential transfers and how it all works. And soon enough, I will also be posting a video about how you can build with confidential transfers in your app. So see you there. Stay private.